Welcome everybody to a Die Rise Easter egg guide, and in today's guide I'm going to be taking you guys through the Richtofen side of the Easter egg. I will have a link in the description for the Max's side of the Easter egg once that has been fully edited and put up on the channel for you lot, so you guys can go and check out that side if you need to do that side of the Easter egg. However, this will only be Richtofen side in this video, so please bear that in mind. Right, so a couple of things here I want to go through before we start. Number one, I appreciate all my teammates who helped me with this Easter egg, and it was great fun doing most of it. There's a couple of amusing bits here and there, but anyhow, if it wasn't for those guys, then obviously we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing here today. So thank you to all of them for helping out do the Easter egg. And yeah, it was great fun doing it with them, and I'm looking forward to doing more with them in the future. Also, some stuff that you need to bear in mind is that you will have to have 4 players while doing this Easter egg. It's the same with the Maxis one too. If you do not have 4 players, then you will not be able to do this Easter egg. You will also need to have had the navcard table built on Die Rise in order to make this Easter egg even start. Now, I will have a link in the description that will take you guys to a video of me explaining how to build the navcard table on Die Rise and exactly where all the parts are for it in order to construct it. It will also tell you basically which navcards you need to insert into Die Rise's navcard table in order for it to be linked. Bear in mind that if you do not insert a navcard into the table, it will not be linked, which means that you will not link all the Easter eggs when you are doing them, which you need to do. So please bear that in mind if you want to get the full ending after doing the Richtofen inside the Easter egg on Transit, Die Rise and Buried. Otherwise, all of those out of the way, we're going to get on to the main steps to the Easter egg now, so let's get on with it. Right, so I thought I'd just briefly pop in here and show you guys what the navcard table looks like in case you guys don't actually know what the navcard table looks like at all. Yes, I will have a link in the description, like I said earlier, which will teach you guys how to build it. But in case you don't know what the navcard table is or what it even looks like, this will show you right here, basically this little clip of what it is. I will also add that this table is located literally right underneath the tower on the roof of the second building opposite where you spawn. So yeah, well, that's the navcard table. So the first step of this Easter egg involves turning on the power. If you do not turn on the power, then obviously you can't start this Easter egg, as you need to actually jump on the elevators in order to do the first step. Anyway, power is located in the second building, and there are a couple of ways you can get to it. The easiest way to get to it, which is the way that my team and I did it, is that you basically at the spawn room go down an elevator shaft that's in the spawn room. This will go right down to the bottom and collapse and sort of break. It will lead you down this little tunnel bit, and you can jump across to the second building from there, which is also where the shower bank system is, as well as the fridge where you can store a weapon. And then you can literally just go through and open the door to power and turn on the power, and it's that simple. Okay, so step 2 involves elevator symbols. So these symbols are located on 4 elevators throughout the map. Now, these symbols, to describe them, are big gold sort of squiggly line symbols. They're located on 4 elevators, like I said. We're going to go through all 4 now. What you will need to do at this step is make sure that everyone on your team is well coordinated, so you will need to communicate well with each other in order to do this step correctly, because if you don't, you'll most likely have a team member that will get crushed in the elevator or something stupid like that. So make sure you do collaborate with each other while trying to do this. So the first elevator step here, you can see that my player is going to the quick revive elevator and jumping on top of it, on top of the golden symbol. I like to also add here, you should notice from here that the symbol is dull to start with because not everyone is on it. But once everyone steps on it, you should notice it glows. As you can see here, it's glowing bright yellow now, or gold. And that indicates that you've all stepped on the symbols and done it correctly. Right, so this is the second elevator symbol area, which is just opposite quick revive. And this elevator will normally have either speaker or who's who inside of it. This symbol here on this elevator. Right, so this is the third elevator symbol area. Now, this one is located in a bit of an odd spot. but it's basically just around the corner from where you would build the Sliquifier on the Sliquifier table. It normally has Pack-a-Punch or Jug and Double Tap sometimes, I believe, inside of it. I tried to do my best here to sort of show you where it is, and this is like the best I can do. So I hope it's clear enough to you. But just in case it isn't, I will say here that down that hallway, which I was just looking at earlier, there's another door which, if you open it, it goes straight through to the Sliquifier room, where you obviously build the Sliquifier. So yeah, basically it's just down here and around there, the elevator shaft. I hope that's clear enough to you guys, and it's the best I can give you, I'm afraid, so sorry. But that's where the third elevator symbol is. So now this final symbol is located literally on the elevator shaft that goes up towards the Bowie knife. And normally this elevator shaft will have either Pack-a-Punch, Juggernog, or Double Tap, I believe, inside of it. And as you can see here, there's the Bowie knife. This elevator is really easy to find. It's literally the elevator that's pretty much straight to the right of when you turn on the power if you walk towards the power switch. So it's a very easy elevator to find, and that's the last symbol. And that's all this step complete, so we'll move on to step 2 now. Okay, so the second step of this Easter egg involves more symbols. I know, it's great, isn't it? They are the same symbols as you would have seen inside the elevators, only this time they are scattered throughout the map on some places on the floor. And the idea of this step is, instead of everyone stepping on the symbols at exactly the same time, you have to step on the symbols in a specific order, which again means that all 4 team members are going to need to collaborate with each other on this in order to make this work. And what you'll need to do is you have 4 people around the map standing next to each of the symbols. Then somebody needs to walk onto a symbol, see if it lights up, and then if somebody steps on another one, it lights up, then that's the second symbol that you need to step on. If they step on the third one and that one lights up, then that means that's the next one, and so on. However, if somebody steps on the symbol and it lights up, and then someone steps on another symbol and it doesn't light up, and then it turns off the light of the symbol that was originally stepped on before you stepped on the other one, then it means it's the wrong order. So you need to basically pretty much collaborate with each other here and say, I'm stepping on this symbol, it's lit up, you step on yours, has it lit up, and so on like that. So all 4 players will need to do this. But anyway, that's the whole of this step in a nutshell, and I'm showing you where they're located now. So this was my symbol in the game, and this is located basically around, it's like a kitchen kind of area, I suppose. A restaurant area. It's on the way down towards the box, which is normally just down this little slidey bit to the right, and it's located in here. It's also, if you don't find that easy enough to figure out, it's located near a elevator shaft which normally has either Who's Who or Speed Cola in it, so it might make your life a little easier to figure out like that. But that's basically all I can give you in description terms for this area. Okay, so this symbol is really easy to find. It's literally just outside Quick Revive on the floor, and as you can see, Mitch runs over it here. Okay, so this is the next symbol. This is located next to the giant satellite-like tower, which is what is used to complete the Easter egg. And it's just here on the floor, as you can see. You would jump down from the little tower there. And this is the final symbol. This area is literally just across from where you would jump over from the Buddha room. So the Buddha room, you run on this ledge and jump over to this section of the roof, and it's basically here on the floor. And that's it. Now we'll move on to step 3. This is step 3, and in order to do step 3, you will need to have bought a sniper, or at least one person will need to have a sniper. And what you will need to do is bring the sniper over to basically one of the sections of the roofs where you can see the big dragon mascots easily. And what you should notice is inside the mouths of the dragons are these little round balls. Now what that person with the sniper will need to do is aim in and basically shoot at these balls inside the dragon's mouths, and then what you should notice is that the balls will just disappear and fly off. And yeah, that's really it for this step. I will also point out, even though I'm using a Pack-a-Punch sniper here in this video, your sniper does not have to be Pack-a-Punched. It can just be a normal one. Also, when you do this, you should notice some fireworks will pop off. This is normal, don't worry about it. It's basically indicators to tell you that you've really started completing some main steps to the Easter egg now. And we're going to move on to step 4 now. Right, so the next thing you'll need for step 4 is the gun, the Sliquifier. This is the wonder weapon of the map. And you need to build this. You don't actually just pick it up out of the box like normal. And to build this gun, you basically need to come over to the power area of the map and find 4 parts and build them on this workbench. This workbench is located literally underneath the power room, and these 4 parts are scattered all over the place down here in power. What I will do is I will have a link in the description of the video which will basically take you through where most of the parts are located for the gun, and just give you a rundown on basically where you can find them in order to build this gun. That video hasn't been made just yet, but it will be made soon, so you should be able to find that soonish in the description. But basically, once you build the Sliquifier on the table, you then have to have one of the teammates in your party pick it up. And what you will notice is when you pick up the weapon, it will just disappear from the crafting table. Now, what I will add here is that if the player who picked up the Sliquifier either goes down, gets crushed by an elevator, or anything like that, and loses the Sliquifier, you have no need to worry. It doesn't mean that the Sliquifier is gone forever in the game. You can pick it up again from the mystery box later on. Granted, it is pot luck if you get it or not at the mystery box, but you can pick it up from the mystery box, and anyone can get it from the mystery box. But only one player in the game can have it at a time, so do remember that. Anyhow, that's what the Sliquifier looks like. Now we're going to move on to what we need it for. Okay, so the person with the Sliquifier for step 4 now will need to come up to the spawn room where these 2 lion mascots are sitting. And what you should notice now is that the little balls that you shot out of the dragon's mouths earlier on will now be on the lion's hands or paws. And this is very, very important, so please heed my words. Whatever you do, do not pick up the balls. If you pick up these balls, you need to restart the whole entire Easter egg, because picking up the balls is part of Max's side to the Easter egg, not Richtofen's. So if you do pick them up, you've screwed the whole entire Easter egg, and that's it. So for the love of God, don't pick up the balls. Leave them where they are. What you need to do instead is the person with the Sliquifier needs to spray the Sliquifier into these balls until they start spinning. And you should notice them spinning on the spot. They're pretty obvious once they start spinning. What I might add though is that it does take about 2 clips or so on each ball before it will start spinning. Sometimes it can take more. It's very variant, especially if you don't quite hit the ball. So try and shoot the middle of the ball when you do this step rather than like the top or the side or something. But as you can see here, it takes me basically 2 mags on both of them in order for the balls to start spinning. And yeah, that's usually what it roughly is. Well, once these balls start spinning, you've completed step 4, and what you should again notice is some more fireworks. So this is the dragon that I'm talking about. Both of them will show it, but in particular this one is the easiest one to see. And as you can see on its back, it has these little blue lights, or blue fountain fireworky lights on it. Each time one of these lights up, it means you're getting further and further through the Easter egg steps, so it will basically give you an indicator on what step you are currently on. And yeah, just remember to keep an eye on these, because it's very useful if you ever forget which bit you're at or something. And what you will notice as well, like I have been explaining on the last 2 steps, is that these fireworks will start popping out in the sky each time that you complete a step. So it's pretty damn obvious if you've completed a step or not, as you will hear the fireworks. So the next step we're going to move on to is basically the trample steam step, and I'm going to basically show you what the trample steam looks like and what it is and where you build it, and then we're going to move on to the step. So we'll move on to that now. Right, so this is the trample steam area, or where it's built anyway. This is vital for the next step, and you will need to have built the trample steam. Again, I will have a link in the description once the video is ready. explaining where all the parts can be located for the trample steam and how to build it on Die Rise. But for the time being, this is where the trample steam is located, where you build it. You can only build it on this one table, and this is located literally like in the first building, and it's 2 levels down from spawn. You can get down here a couple of ways. You can either ride the elevators down here, you can jump off the side a little bit and sort of slide down onto this level, or if you're coming from the roof on the second building where the tower is, you can run and jump over into this part of the building, and this is where the trample steam is, obviously. I'd also like to add here that for this next step and every other step, it can be quite useful if you have the trample steam built and somebody places one down on this side of the building here facing towards the tower, as it means if anyone wants to get over to the tower quickly or back or whatever, then they just have to literally walk on the trample steam and it'll fling them over to the other tower, and obviously they can jump back over if need be. This is just a really useful tip for getting through parts of the Easter egg quite quickly if somebody's needed somewhere else. So just bear that in mind. Also, every player on your team at this point will need to have picked up a trample steam, so make sure all 4 players have a trample steam in their inventory, or else they will not be able to do this next step. Okay, so this is the symbol that everyone will need to be looking for on the floors of the map to place their trample steams. Now, I know it's really hard to see in this clip, and I appreciate that. There's no good spot on the map where these really shine out in particular. And basically what the symbol is it's a round circular symbol with a picture of a Nuketown zombie in it. These are located in 4 areas of the map, and basically what each player will need to do is put their trample steam on top of this symbol and have this trample steam facing towards the tower. The big ginormous tower on the second roof that we've been sort of looking at for most of the Easter egg steps. Anyway, that is basically where you need to point the trample steam, and what you need to do is basically get zombies to walk onto the trample steams, and then it will fling them into the tower. You need to do this with at least around like 10 or 15 or something zombies, and then eventually it will end the step. So this is the first area I'm choosing to show you, and this is literally down just to the right of the big tower that we're flinging the zombies at. And yeah, this is like the area that one of the floor symbols was earlier on, and as you can see, this is where the trample steam gets placed. As you can see, I placed mine down here, and underneath that trample steam is a Nuketown zombie symbol, and all I have to do is get zombies, like I said, to walk on that trample steam, and what it will do is it will fling those zombies into that tower. Notice how I have the trample steam facing towards the tower. Make sure it is facing towards the tower, or else you cannot carry on with this step. Okay, so this is the second trample steam location, and this we kind of briefly looked at earlier. This is just outside spawn, outside the quick revive elevator, and as you can see, I have my friend Mitch, who's placed down his trample steam here on top of the Nuketown symbol and has it facing towards the tower, as you can see in the distance. This is the third trample steam placement location. It's to pretty much the left, the left hand side of the little sort of staircase area up on the roof. There are 2 of them up here in this location, so the next one you will see literally to the other side, which is on the right in a minute. But you can see that the dragon's in the background, so that will give you a bit more of an indicator where this is. And obviously Winch is placing down his trample steam on top of the Nuketown indicator on the floor there, and it's facing towards the tower. This is the final placement of the other trample steam. This is to the right hand side of the previous one. And yeah, basically place it down on top of the Nuketown symbol, and as you can see here, there's an example of a zombie walking into the trample steam and being flung into the tower. And you should notice, as you can see, the fireworks and that going off once the step is complete, which is exactly what is happening here. And yeah, and that's really it for this step. So now we're going to move on to the hardest step of the whole damn Easter egg, which is, if I'm saying it correctly, the Mojang tile step. Okay, so this is the final step of this Easter egg. This is also probably one of the hardest Easter egg steps I think I've ever seen in pretty much any Easter egg, actually. It's really not easy. So this is the Mojang tile step. And basically, this involves either being able to read Chinese Mandarin or guessing. And guessing normally is the better way of doing it, I find. But anyway, you will need to at least have one person with Galvaknuckles at this point. The Galvaknuckles can be brought down an elevator shaft, which is pretty easy to find. It's on the way down to the Buddha room. Once the person has the Galvaknuckles, what you should notice after doing the last step where you flung the zombies into the tower's sort of bottom pillars will all be lit up blue now. And what you will need to do is knife these pillars in the correct order. Now this is where the Mojang tiles come into play. So the Mojang tiles basically tell you which location is which. So they'll tell you if one pillar is facing towards north, if one's facing towards east, west, and south. Now, basically you need to hit these in the right order. Bear in mind every single game that this order is completely different and completely random, which is why it's really quite difficult. And you need to basically really find these little Mojang tiles. They're little white tiles with a little symbol of some Chinese Mandarin writing on it with a colour. And you need to find all these symbols and match them up with the tower's little pillars. Now what I will do, because also if I did try and explain it all here, I'd be here forever, but I will leave a picture with a description of some kind in the description of the video for you guys, so you guys can go and find it. And what this will do is it will basically show you all the different Mandarin tiles for north, west, south and east, and it will also show you all the little colour tiles that indicate which one's which and which one you need to hit in which order. Right, so it will always help you. Now, what I will say is that one of the pillars will always have a little Chinese Mandarin tile next to it. And this pillar is the one that is basically next to the area where you would jump over to the first building. This tile is crucial. You must look at this tile because this tile will literally tell you which pillar is first, and it's always that pillar where that Mojang tile is that is first. You will always be hitting that one first, so you can guarantee that that is the first pillar that you will hit every single time. So that is crucial to find, and then as a result of that it will help you to find the other Mojang tiles around the map. Now unfortunately, I don't know exactly where all these Mojang tiles actually spawn. I'm sure there is some form of video out there that explains where they all spawn on the map. If I ever figure this out myself properly, then I will have a video that I'll make about it, and I will explain where they all are and show you what they look like. And I will also leave it in the description of this video so you guys can find it easily. But for the time being, I don't know where they all spawn, and I'm not that clever at finding them either. So instead what I will do is create a picture with them all, because I know what they all look like and so on, and basically put them in their correct order of what they would look like for you, hopefully, in the game. Bear in mind that in my picture I will probably have them with some form of colour, yes. However, the colours can change on these Mojang tiles, but the order should still stay the same. Just bear that in mind. Don't get sort of surprised when you see, for example, like one of the tiles, like south, for example, in my little picture is green, and the little 3 dots or something are green in my picture as well, and then in your game south is red and then the 3 dots are red or something. Don't get surprised by that. Colours seem to change in this Easter egg step for some reason. I don't actually know why they change, but they do. Don't be alarmed by that. That's just, I guess, stylish purposes of some sort. It doesn't change the order in any way whatsoever in regards to that, so just bear that in mind. But I will leave a picture in the description which will have all the Mojang tiles and should hopefully make it reasonably easy for you guys to figure it out. I do understand that this step is extremely complicated and really hard to figure out, so I appreciate it if you find this quite complicated and you find my description that I've given you a little complicated. It's a hard thing to explain as well, I might add. But if you have any questions in regards to it, then feel free to let me know in the description and I'll try and help you out as best as I can. I will admit I do actually find it quite difficult myself to explain and get across this step in the right way to people. It's just one of those kind of steps really. But the other way you can do this step, of course, is if you guess, and seeing as you know which pillar is always first, it basically narrows down the little pillar options that you can choose to hit, so it makes it a little bit more reasonable to figure out. But yeah, basically that's the whole of this step in a nutshell. Once you've managed to get it in the correct order as seen in this footage, you will notice a sound normally will play, which is the final indicator sound to tell you that you completed the Easter egg. You should also notice a big sort of fiery flare fly into your player. This flies into all players, and what this does is it gives you permanent perks on the map. And yeah, well, that's pretty much it. And that's basically the whole of the Easter egg complete. You will have all the perks permanently for the rest of the game, even if you go down, from what I've been told anyway. And yeah, you will have an achievement or trophy or whatever pop up. And what you will also notice is the tower is now going to be glowing blue and it will all be lit up. And this tower will stay lit up and blue permanently until you press the big red button to end all the Easter eggs that you've done for Richtofen side in Buried. Once you push that button, then it means that the tower will no longer be lit up blue, and that will be the end of it. Which is kind of sad, but oh well, it's a good way to end the Easter egg game, I suppose. So there it is. But that's how it works. I will also show you now just what the tower looks like a bit closer up when it's all blue. And I will also show you what happens on the main menu when you finish this Easter egg, as there is a bit more to this than most people believe. Okay, so this is what the tower looks like if you come back into a game, or even at the end of the Easter egg in general. As you can see, this is the blue lit up tower. You should see a big bluey glowy line going around it, all the way around it like this. And this will stay, like I said, permanently until you end the full Easter egg set on Buried by pressing the big red button. And yeah, well, it's a pretty cool thing to see in your game, and I kind of wish it stayed even when you push the red button, but oh well. I guess there are reasons for it. But yeah, that's what you will see from now on. And there is finally one last thing. If you had done what I said at the beginning and linked the navcard table, which means that you've gone and basically put the correct navcard into the navcard table on DieRise and linked it, you should notice something on the main menu. Of course, if you haven't done this and you haven't put the navcard in yet, then you will not notice this until you do so. So I'd advise you to go and do it. But anyhow, this is what you shall see. This is it, the final symbol that you will see on the main menu. And you will see basically the normal DieRise logo symbol that you see on the map normally for loading up the map itself in the main menu. Will now have these blue sort of lightning bolts coming out of it, and it will be sort of flashing blue all the time now. And this basically indicates that you finished the Richtofen side of the Easter egg on this part of the map. And there you go. And it normally makes a really cool sort of noise as well, which I'll let you guys hear for yourself when you complete the Easter egg. But yeah, make sure you put your nav card in and you will see this. Otherwise, that's it for the whole of this Easter egg. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it was a little long-winded at points and so on, but hopefully it got the points across in the correct ways and gave you a pretty reasonable rundown of how to do the Easter egg. Now, I will admit that this Easter egg recording tutorial was a little sort of rushed at the time. I tried to do this literally just before I had a load of assessments and things to do, because I wanted to kind of get it done and out of the way. And yeah, well, it was a little rushed in areas, but hopefully it's reasonable enough, and I thought it got the point across pretty well. But like I said in previous bits, if you ever got stuck at any point or did find this too complicated for whatever reason, feel free to give me a message or to leave a comment on the video, and I will pick it up and try and answer you back as best as I can to give you a hand. This Easter egg is pretty reasonable most of the way through until the Mojang tiles, which I expect is where everybody will be asking questions. But there you go. Yeah, so that's really the whole of this Easter egg, and I hope this was a pretty reasonable rundown of it. Also, I didn't actually say this at the beginning, but I will say it now. If you didn't want to watch through the entire video and just wanted to know the steps of the Easter egg, just in general, just as a little reference, in the description of the video there will also be a whole entire list, chunk basically, of all the steps in their specific order, and you will be able to figure out the whole of the Easter egg via those steps there. Of course, if you watch the whole of this video, you will get a proper rundown of it. But yeah, all the steps will be in the description, so you guys can go and look at that if need be. Yeah, and that's really it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this guide. It did take a while to make, so I really appreciate it if you guys could leave a like on the video. It means a lot. If you guys want to see any more of my other guides or mod videos or gameplays in general, zombies, then feel free to check out the links in the description of the video, which will have all the other well, playlists basically of all that stuff, so you guys can go and check those out really easily. And yeah, that's really it. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in my next video. So until then guys, see you next time.